Yo, what's good, patrons, man? Welcome back to another video. So in this one, this one is a topic that a lot of people don't understand. It's a topic that some people have asked me about, so we definitely gonna get it popping in this video. I'm gonna be breaking down DNA upgrades, DNA activation, and what are the significant things about this. Okay, so if you didn't know what DNA upgrades is, man, we definitely about to get it popping, man. So as I always do, I gotta get my disclaimer. I got my notes on my phone, I got my articles pulled up, you know, in case I want to reference some of them, man. Let's get into it. I'm not trying to keep y'all too long for this one. I'm trying to give you this information so you can go research it for yourself and then find out what resonates with you, man. So the first thing I want to say, man, is, you know, DNA upgrades happen from the constant increase in awareness, and there are many symptoms of DNA upgrades, DNA activation. Some of you guys might have heard these terms used before. I'm going to talk about the symptoms of DNA activation later on in this video, man. So it's important to understand that we all have a unique genetic makeup. We all have unique DNA. And so per each chromosome, we have two-strand double helix of DNA, which I'm sure you guys have learned this already in like basic, elementary, middle school, and high school biology, chemistry. So we have a two-strand double helix of DNA. We also have an additional etheric strands of DNA available to each human that has been dormant for thousands of years, basically, right? And so scientists have said that in addition to the double helix formation of DNA that we also have strands that are unaccounted for, strands that are dormant. We have genes that are pretty much sleeping. This is similar to the Kundalini energy that lies dormant within our root chakra, the base of our spine. I've spoken about this many times before. We have energies that lay dormant within inside of us, okay? And so, for example, for a male, this would be similar to how you have the ability to ejaculate, and from that you will fertilize a woman's eggs and you will create a baby. You will create life. Now, the semen doesn't come out of you until you are aroused, so you have to ignite that energy. But when you are just walking around on a daily and you're not having sex, or you're not sexually aroused, that semen is not exiting your body, but that doesn't mean that it's not still present in your gonads. So you still have the energy inside of you to produce semen in order to create that life. So, you know, it's the same way that within our genetic coding, we have certain energies within inside of our genes that can do that can do crazy things, okay? We're talking about clairvoyance, we're talking about telepathy, we're talking about just having telepathic thoughts, and so many other things that people would even have observed on ancient texts and walls, and you see monks floating and flying and doing all types of crazy stuff. People think it's fake. It's actually real, you know what I'm saying? So but I digress, man. So these etheric strands and dormant energy permits humans to have heightened senses, such as increased success in athletics. This is why some people just have a natural talent for sports. They can do football, they can do baseball, basketball, soccer, they can do gymnastics. Some people just are just naturally athletic, and some people are not. Some groups of people on the planet are naturally athletic, some groups are not. Some groups of people might be known for their welding or something, you know, like everybody got their own different pocket of thing that genetically they're just good at doing, right? And so, you know, these strands permit people to have heightened senses, increased success in athletics, increased intuition, increased telepathy, you know what I'm saying, overall cognitive and physical performance, enhanced performance, accelerated manifestation, meaning that if you want something, you can manifest it way quicker. So, you know, let's say that you're trying to manifest a trip somewhere, like you can manifest that trip in like a couple of days, a couple of weeks, and much more. Now, right, scientists state that we only use 3% of our two-strand DNA, 3%, right? That's it. So that means that 97% of our abilities are not yet unlocked. Now, you can observe this being spoken about, you know, in ancient African texts and ancient Chinese, Indian philosophies. If only 3% of our, you know, DNA is being used, what can the other 97% do? You already see how human beings have manifested buildings, pyramids, you know what I'm saying? All of these different architecture that we've developed, all of these technologies that, you know what I'm saying, we have. Now, if you can understand that, so we only using 3% and we're already, you know what I'm saying, pretty great. Just imagine if we had 100% control of our DNA or 100% control of our brains. They say that we only have 10% control of our brain, that we only have 10% access. So what could we do if we had 100%? And so when you really start to dig down and understand how complex the human being is, and that we are literally gods, when you start to understand that, it'll make sense to you why certain people on this planet are poisoning the foods, why they're poisoning the water, why they have control of the school curriculum, the education system, to keep you at a lower frequency, to keep you dumbed down. It'll make sense to you why certain people on this planet are being killed excessively, why organs are being harvested, why certain people's organs are being studied, why all of these different things are happening to suppress people, why people are blindly being manipulated, and it's biological warfare going on. Whether you want to talk about 5G, microwaving your intestines, whether you want to talk about smartphones, microwaving your sexual organs, the food genetically spliced, removing the seed so that on a chemical level, when you ingest it, it alters your DNA. So now it's keeping you in a state where you can't even reach halfway through your full potential as a human being. So when you understand these concepts that I'm about to go in to depth with y'all, it won't even you feel me? Like it's not gonna surprise you that all of this stuff is going on. Somebody might look at you like you crazy because you're talking like this, but nah, it's like you can't fault people for them being at a lower vibration than you. So, some people won't be receptive to certain types of information. You know what I mean? So, you know, scientists said that we only using 3% of our DNA, right? It's important to note that scientists have found that negative emotions such as fear and anger, which I told you guys in previous lectures that those are some of the most lowest vibrations that you could be on in this whole experience. All right, fear, anger, guilt, shame, all of those are low vibrations, low emotions that keep you lowered. So you wanna, you wanna mitigate those feelings as much as possible. You don't want to be in those emotions, right? So, they found that negative emotions such as fear and anger actually coil and compress our DNA strands. So if you didn't know, if you were to take one of our DNA strands, right now, they say that it's so vast and complex and so long that if you were to just start it at the floor underneath your feet, it could go up to the sun and wrap around 600 times. That's how long and complex one strand of our DNA is. It's crazy, right? That's how complex our cells are. You know what I mean? So it's crazy. So fear and anger actually coil up and compress the strands further, as opposed to feeling happiness and gratitude. Happiness and gratitude actually unwinds our DNA. It unlocks our DNA, okay? It unlocks it, meaning it uncoils it, allowing you to have full access to your DNA, to your abilities, a lot of us have certain abilities, certain gifts that we came into this experience with. And it's not crazy because you've always known secretly that maybe you are a little bit psychic. Maybe you can feel somebody's energy when you walk in a room and you're like, nah, that's a bad person. Maybe you just manifest things quickly, you know what I'm saying? Maybe just good things always happen to you. Maybe you're just hella creative and you create beautiful pieces of art. That's not something that's by accident. That has to do with your DNA. We all have certain types of gifts, you know what I'm saying? So, for example, you know, think of yourself like this, right? Think of yourself like an iPad, and you only have 16 gigabytes of storage or of RAM. Now, you know, the cheapest iPads and iPods and iPhones be having like 16 gigs. That's nothing. You feel me? That's the wackest one right there, right? Because it barely has any storage. Now, with the 16 gigabyte iPhone or iPad, you can only download so many apps until you run out, right? You can only have so many programs open in the background before you stress out your CPU or just stress out your phone or computer. This is why apps be crashing. Now, you know, what you gotta realize is this: when our bodies are like that, our DNA is really like that. So what you gotta understand is this. Now, when you activate your DNA, picture yourself as a 1 terabyte plus. And I'm only using the terabyte measure just to kind of give you guys a scale so that you guys can perceive it. But it's really way more than any other measure of unit that humans can really think of. So it's way vaster. Like when we're talking about mathematics, we're talking about it's infinite. Okay, but I'm just using the terabyte for this one example, right? So think of it this way: when you unlock your DNA, compared to the 16 gigabyte iPhone or iPad that you had, right? That you can only have so many apps until stuff starts crashing and it starts slowing down, and all of a sudden you feel me like you need a software update. So keep that in mind. I'm talking about in comparison to that. Now, when you unlock your DNA, think about a 1 terabyte iPhone. Right? You now have unlimited storage and resources to download as many applications as you want. And now you're also connected to the internet. Imagine that you had an iPhone, but you didn't have any 4G LTE, or you weren't connected. You know what I'm saying? Imagine that you just had that storage and that's it. But now when you unlock your DNA, you got the 1 terabyte and you're connected to the internet, right? So that's how the body works. I told you guys already, we got a biosphere, all right? So we have a sphere around us that's constantly interacting with the universe. This is why whenever you walk in a room, let's say that your homeboy or whatever, you feel like your homegirl was just having an argument with their significant other in the room, and as soon as you walk in the room, they just stopped fighting right as you're about to walk in the room. When you walk in the room, you like, ooh. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can feel the tension in the air, even if they're not talking to each other and they trying to look away and act normal. You like, ooh, it's type tense in here. You can feel the energy, right? This is our biosphere. We pick up on energies around us. This is why sometimes in your peripheral vision, you be seeing things and you ask yourself, damn, like, am I tripping? No, you can see orbs, you can see auras, you can see these things. But you gotta be able to train yourself to really be able to see them. And so, you know, this is stuff that we've encountered from the time that we were born, that we kind of pushed aside because society tells you that that's woo-woo, that's fake, that's this, that, and third. No, you're a multi-dimensional being, you feel me? You're a multi-dimensional being, you know what I'm saying? Make sure to get my shirt, man. TTYL stands for talk to you later. I'm about to meditate, you know what I'm saying? DudleyDoes.com. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but I digress, man. You've always kind of been able to pick up on these things, right? So, by the way, if you guys want to understand technology, just study the human body. Simple. if you want to understand the complexity of, the guns is showing today, huh? The guns, stop playing with me, man. Stop playing with me. No, I'm stupid. But you know, if you want to understand technology, study the complexity of the human body, because that's what technology is molded after. Technology is molded after bodies. For example, if you want to understand computers, you got to understand the human brain, because that's what it's molded after. If you want to understand a tank, the tanks that the military use, study the bodies of elephants, because elephants were the original tanks used in war. And so if you observe a tank, it even looks like an elongated elephant trunk. So this is not something that's far-fetched. This is facts. You know what I mean? And there is no greater computer than the human body. When you activate your DNA, you are now connected and unlocked, just like the internet, which, by the way, if y'all didn't know, was actually created by an African, a Nigerian by the name of Philip Imagwale. You don't believe me? Oh, so who y'all thought invented the internet?
Time magazine called him the unsung hero behind the internet. CNN called him.
Peace, love, and life, family. To get access to my raw, uncut content, swing by my Patreon at patreon.com/DudleyDuds. On my Patreon, we are a tight-knit community dedicated to personal development and overall ascension. Due to YouTube's policy and guidelines, a lot of my educational content that's waking people up cannot be posted. So consider becoming a member today, and let's get it poppin'.